As you guys know, I absolutely love being the support gunner for my Milsim team. It's the most favorite thing in the world that I love doing in terms of airsoft, and it just got a whole lot better. Or a whole lot worse. Or maybe somewhere in the middle? I don't know. What's going on, boomers and doomers? On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the much anticipated Tokyo Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock MK46 MOD.0 LMG. One of the best things about running an LMG, you are one of the very few privileged players that has the opportunity to shoot in full auto. A lot of full auto. And there are many LMG variations that exist out there, from your 249s, your RPKs, your 240s, but this one in front of me is very special in that it has recoil. It is the recoil shock system from Tokyo Marui of the next generation. This being part of Tokyo Marui's next generation recoil shock lineup, one of the more newish lineups, they are going to be sporting a full metal construction. That is going to include the handguard, the receiver, the sights, everything with the exception, of course, of the pistol grip and the 249 stock. It is cool that Tokyo Marui is coming out with more and more metal variations for their airsoft guns. Traditionally, when you would buy a Tokyo Marui, especially an older one, you'd have to change so much stuff out just to get it to feel like the real one. So it's cool that that's one less thing you'll have to change. Let's take a look at the handguard. Now, this is, like I mentioned earlier, going to be sporting a full metal construction. MK46 handguards have always been very interesting to me. You do get plenty of rail space on here, but interestingly enough, you actually get two sets of side rail systems, which you can never really use in conjunction with each other. I actually will take off the top cover off of mine, and I'll just rock the side Picatinny rails on there. But again, if you have the top heat shield on, you won't be able to go ahead and use it. But you know, I think Tokyo Marui kind of realized that, so it's a fixed in position right now, and you do get both the left and right side RIS sections for you to put any sort of accessories of your choice on. Instead, on the bottom, it is going to be using a sort of plastic cover, which is not terrible. It is comfy, but again, just keep that in mind. The tip of the outer barrel does show some exposed threads on here. It's going to be 14 millimeters counterclockwise threads. Tokyo Marui does include a flash hider for you to put on. However, in order to import it to the US, it is required to have the orange tip on their little thread protector. This also sports a QD barrel, which is actually really, really cool, just like the real one and just like all the other 249s that exist out there. However, this one has the unique feature of being able to eject the inner barrel as well without having to remove the hop-up chamber. The hop-up chamber is going to be stationary, it's going to be static, it's going to be sticking in place, so it makes it a lot easier for when you're inserting the barrel back into position. It's going to be hitting the mark every single time. Moving on to the magazine, the MK46 MOD.0 is going to come included with this 1,000-round box magazine and, of course, these little dummy rounds. They do require a little bit of assembly, but it's not that hard. Now, the magazine is actually very, very interesting in the way it feeds into the hop-up chamber. Like I mentioned before, the hop-up chamber is going to be static. It's not moving, it's going to be stationary. Normally, on most 249s, you would have a hose that would feed BBs directly from the magazine into the hop-up chamber. This instead is going to be directly sitting underneath the hop chamber, so literally it's just going to fit right in place, and it's going to shoot the BBs right up, which is very, very cool. It's going to be powered by AAA batteries. It's actually a very, very good system. That hose that you would find on traditional 249 box magazines can get compromised, whether it be due to rust, exposure to dirt of some kind that can cause jams and other issues. So this is a more direct, more efficient way of feeding 249s, which I'm a big fan of. Now, as you guys might have guessed, this MK46 unfortunately cannot take regular M4 magazines like its other 249 counterparts due to the feeding system. Again, it feeds directly from the bottom into the receiver, not from the side like traditional 249. So regular M4 AEG magazines, even recoil shock M4 magazines will not work for this, unless there's some kind of crazy adapter that comes out in the future. Regardless, moving on to the fire controls, it's going to be that of what you would find on any 249. There are two modes, safe and shoot. That's it, because that's all you need on an LMG. Moving to the top of the receiver, you are receiving a full metal Picatinny rail up top, so you put whatever sort of optic or accessories you'd like. Here I have one of my personal L cans on here. The dust cover actually does open up, so you are able to access your hop-up chamber and insert your dummy rounds if you so choose to. Interestingly enough, if you have the dust cover open, even if you have a battery plugged in and you're pulling down the trigger, the mag cutoff feature will activate and you won't be able to fire when the dust cover's up. Very, very cool. Moving on to the rear, you have this very nice full polymer 249 style stock, which is hollow. You would expect at this point that Tokyo Marui would have made this rear wired, but unfortunately not. They chose to wire it to the front, so leaving you all this hollow space, but you can always change that out potentially for a 249 buffer tube. So there's that. Like I mentioned before, unfortunately, Tokyo Marui did not wire this gun to the rear. It's going to be wired to the front. Now, thankfully, it is going to be using any 7.4 LiPo battery that you're choosing. In the past, the recoil shock system did require their own battery. It had this very unique connector. Not too sure what happened there, but thankfully, this one is going to be using just any standard 7.4 Tamiya wired LiPo battery. Do not use an 11.1. Do not use an 11.1. You will destroy this airsoft gun. Now let's move on to what everyone's been waiting for, the internals. And surprise, I mean, really though, it's completely proprietary. I mean, what did you expect, right? Look at this thing. It's a recoil shock, right? The recoil of the next generation. It needs next generation internal components. So companies out there that make internal parts, please come out with more parts for the MK46 MOD.0 LMG. We need them. And again, make them widely available as well. In all seriousness, there's a couple big reasons as to why this whole system is proprietary, right? Not just the recoil system alone, right? But just the mag cutoff feature, the fact you have to have the dust cover closed, you have to rack the bolt back every time you insert the magazine or you refill it up with BBs. It makes a lot of sense. Again, that on top of the recoil, it's no wonder this thing is proprietary in terms of its internal design. But I'm actually not even that mad about it. It does make sense why. The Tokyo Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock MK46 chronos in at 300 FPS with a .20 gram BB, shoots at a rate of fire of 15 BBs per second with a 7.4 LiPo battery. All right, guys, we're out here on the range right now. I got the MK46 loaded up with some 2.5 BBs and a 7.4 LiPo battery because, again, 11.1s are just never a good idea to put in your next generation recoil shock. I have a target set up at about, I'd say about 120 feet. Again, there's a bit of a slight cross breeze, but let's just see how we do. We're gonna go ahead and test fire this. There's no semi-auto, it's only full auto. Again, as all LMGs should be. Let's see what we get here. Oh, okay. We got the hop set up just right. We are hitting the brown target. Got a little over hop. Honestly, it's not even like perfectly dialed in. It's still hitting it. I'm actually pretty surprised that it's still able to hit, even though this thing is shooting at a pretty low FPS. So that actually did perform very well at 120 feet, but let's take a few steps back at about 200 feet-ish. Let's see how we can go ahead and perform as well. Then, it is still reaching. Yeah, even at 200 feet, I can still hear it hitting the target. All right, now just for the hell of it, we decided to go ahead and take the shooting portion now back a bit further at 300 feet, just to see what we can go ahead and get. Now, I am lying down prone. It's supposed to help stabilize and help with the accuracy, but we'll see what we get. All right, ready? You have to kind of arc a little bit. It is struggling to reach out, but I think if you adjust the hop a little more, you should be able to hit it. All right, it looks like we're out. My one gripe about the MK46 LMG has got to be the box mag. It feeds phenomenal. However, due to the system that's in place, you have to manually press this button to get it to feed all the way through. Otherwise, the box mag will think that you're out of BBs. The gun will do the exact same thing, and the auto cutoff will engage, which can be a little bit annoying at times. But again, it does add a bit of realism. Every time you have to press that button, you do have to manually pull back the charging handle and forward again, just like the real 249. So it is what it is. This has got to be my favorite part about being an LMG enjoyer. Did any of them hit? I don't know, but let's find out.
You know what, I just was having so much fun with this thing. I decided to take it for a spin as well. I've never shot actually an NGRS MK46 or any NGRS in full auto. So let's see what the buzz is all about. Wait, what the hell? Wait, hold on. Yo, the recoil on this thing is... Okay, and then the button is, where's the button? Where's the... Now, check me out. Yo, this is great. This is fantastic. I can see why you like LMGs, Isaiah. This is fantastic. This feels phenomenal. I don't think I'm hitting the target at all, but it feels so good in the hand. All right, one hand real quick. One hand the saw. Yeah! Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal on this thing.
All right, just got back from the range, and oh my god, that was the most fun I've had shooting an Airsoft LMG in quite a long time. Shooting LMGs, like shooting full auto, is already fun as is. But shooting an LMG full auto with recoil, just an experience like no other. Now, I know a lot of you guys might be saying in the comment section that the rate of fire is a little bit too slow for you guys. Here's the thing. The real Mark 46, the real 249 doesn't shoot that much faster. It's actually around the same RPS. Manufacturers of actual like man-portable machine guns will intentionally try to create their guns to shoot a little bit slower so it's a little bit more controllable. So Tokai Marui did a really good job replicating that in this Mark 46 LMG. I think they did a bang-up job with it. Another thing to note, due to the slower rate of fire, it's a lot easier to conserve ammunition. One of our old techs from back in the day had made a Mark 46 build of his own that it was DSG'd, and it was an absolute buzzsaw. And it sounds cool, but he ate through 3,000 round box magazines in less than like 10 minutes. So keep that in mind. Me, a more reasonable machine gunner with a slightly slower rate of fire gun, can easily make 1,200 rounds work. So this is something that is still very, very viable, even in a milsim setting. Now, in regards to the range and accuracy, no surprise really if you're a longtime follower of Tokai Marui, it shoots surprisingly well considering it's a completely stock gun, right? The hop-up system on here is just absolutely perfect. Tokai Marui has dialed it in perfectly, no pun intended. They just know what they're doing when it comes to making a consistently hopping airsoft gun. Their hop-up chamber is no joke. Now, with all that being said, I know what you guys might be thinking. Wow, Isaiah, that is an awesome LMG. I want to pick one of these bad boys up. How much does it cost? Are you sure about that? Are you sure you want me to tell you? I'm going to be a complete bummer. It's going to ruin your whole weekend. Are you sure? Last chance. All right, well, I tried to warn you guys. Right now, the Tokai Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock Mark 46 Mod.0 LMG currently retails on Airsoft GI for $1,478. But you get automatic free shipping and reward store credit back with the Wombo combo. You see what happened? Look what happened. Look what you made me do. You forced my hand. You're bummed out. I'm bummed out. Everyone's bummed out. Why is this gun so freaking expensive? I just don't understand. I cannot fathom why Tokai Marui would make such an awesome airsoft gun that literally no one can afford. Boys, help me out here.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, maybe it's for the flex to, I don't know. Why else would they make a gun that no one can afford?
All right, so if you guys want to absolutely flex on some pores, make sure to go out and pick yourself up a Tokai Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock. You're going to go up to the kids on the field. What do you got there, kid? A comment machine? Ha! I laugh. I scoff in your face. Check out this Next Generation Recoil Shock LMG. You
now
can't
shoot
even
it
afford
and cry.
this. Now shoot it and cry.
You'll never be able to afford it.
Never.
No matter how many times you save your lunch money.
No matter how much you beg, I will never let you shoot it. With all that being said, if you guys were in the market for the most immersive shooting experience for Airsoft, you wanted an LMG that was going to get as close to the real thing as possible, this is definitely it, right? Again, the biggest caveat with this gun has got to be the fact that there's not a whole lot in terms of an aftermarket support scene for this. I don't know what it is about Tokai Marui, but whenever they import their stuff into the US market automatically assumes that it needs to be upgraded to shoot higher FPS. When we've actually just shot it on camera for you guys, we've made this gun unsellable for you guys to demonstrate and show you that the FPS doesn't need to be high. FPS doesn't automatically equate to range and accuracy. This thing was doing fairly good as is, completely stock. So just goes to show FPS isn't the only contributing factor to performance. All right, thank you guys for swinging by and checking out our review of the Tokai Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock Mark 46 LMG. If you guys want to go ahead and get this gun for yourself or anything within a more reasonable, realistic budget, make sure to swing by the website. We have plenty of Airsoft LMGs available at definitely a more affordable price. If you like the content that you see here, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell icon to make sure that you get notified every time we drop a new video. Make sure to shop by Airsoft GI for all your airsoft needs. You'll automatically be entered into our shopping spree giveaway, which we do weekly once you place a $20 or greater order. This has been Isaiah, and I will see you guys all on the next one.